I am so excited for today's video because you guys know how much I love drugstore makeup, and I haven't done a full face of drugstore makeup in at least a month. Plus, it's all stuff I already own, so we're knocking out a full face of drugstore makeup that you can actually get at the drugstore, like Walgreens, CVS, Target, drugstore side of Ulta, and a full face of nothing new. So let's get started. The first thing I'm starting out with is the Milani Soft Focus Glow Complexion Enhancer. This gives you like a radiant base to your foundation, which I love. If you didn't like so much of a radiant base, I'd highly recommend the Milani Prime Perfection. I really like this as well. This doesn't mattify you. It still kind of gives you a little bit of a glow, but I think it would be a little more appropriate if you are more on the oily side or you liked more of a smoothing primer. I just really prefer a radiant primer, and this is my favorite from the drugstore. I really need to get those clips that like have the little bit of foam. You know, everybody uses them these days. I add that to my Amazon cart every time I see someone use them in a video, and then I save it for later, and then I never purchase it. So I'm gonna do that as soon as I end this video. Look at how beautiful that is. It just gives your skin the most beautiful radiance. I love it so much. Pick this up. I promise you won't be disappointed. But let's go into foundation. I'm gonna go in with the Milani Screen Queen. I really enjoy this foundation, and for some reason, I just haven't been wearing it lately. I kind of go through phases where I'll wear a foundation for a while and then jump on to the next one. So definitely gonna go in with this one. I have a little bit of self-tan left on my body, so I'm hoping this will work for me. I have the shade 180 Warm Shell. I think it should be okay. Now, if I were going out for like a brunch or something like that where I was gonna be in the sun, I would always apply my SPF. I always apply my SPF during my skincare routine, but I wanted to recommend the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation. This does have SPF 50 in it as well, but again, I'd highly recommend going in with your own sunscreen during your skincare routine as well. But I really, really like this, and if you like a nice, natural, glowy, it's not just radiant, it's glowy kind of foundation, this is it. I love it so much. I was kind of torn between the two of them today, but I did want to go in with the Milani again. The Milani does not have SPF in it, so I would recommend this if you were, you know, going to be in any kind of like flash photography or something, and it's not quite as radiant as the L'Oreal. And today I'm going in with my AOA Paw Paw sponge. I love this so much. This sponge is $1.55. I talk about it all the time on here. I do not buy beauty blenders at all. I never will again since I have this sponge. I like it so much more, and it's so much more affordable, so I don't feel bad about throwing them away every, you know, month. So that's it for the foundation. I'd say that's a really solid medium coverage. You can see a little bit of my skin coming through, but overall everything looks perfected and smooth, which is exactly what I'm looking for in a foundation. So moving on to the next step, we're gonna go in with concealer. You guys know, like I just talked about, I don't like to pile concealer all over my face. I try to keep it really targeted, and you'll have noticed I don't take my foundation anywhere really past my orbital bone where it kind of starts to sink in. For me, that's a recipe for cakiness and for creasiness. So if you run into issues with your concealer creasing, try to not bring, there's a little fuzz, try to not bring your foundation up where you're gonna apply your concealer under your eyes. Now, if you have really young plump skin, that might work for you, but I find the older I get, the less I want to apply. So taking my e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in the shade Light Beige, I'm really only gonna apply a little bit right there. That's not even like a full-on like press down of concealer, if you know what I mean. I'm really going in lightly, just like that. Same thing on the other side. And then I'm just gonna take my same sponge, I'm gonna look up and blend that out. That's it for the concealer. I'm not gonna set it. I find with the e.l.f. formula, it really kind of sets itself down, and then as it kind of creases throughout the video, as I kind of, you know, make facial expressions, smile, and do all that kind of stuff, I'll still be able to take my sponge and then blend it out, and then again, it's gonna kind of set itself down. If you did need powder, I know a ton of people love the Maybelline Fit Me loose powder, but I'm just not into powders under the eyes. Again, like I said, the older I get, the more the fine lines kind of increase, and I don't want to emphasize that at all. By the way, last night I got scratched in the face by a dog, which is completely my fault. I love animals and I get all up in their business, hugging them, kissing them, loving them. So it was like a hug from the dog, but it also kind of grazed my cheek. So that's what that situation is. But just wanted to point that out. That's like not gonna get covered by anything, and it's okay. It's gonna go away in a couple days anyway. I don't mind the little, you know, love scratch. That's what I call it. So let's go in with the next step here, which is bronzer. My top broke, unfortunately, but it's the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It, and I have the shade 01. I love this bronzer so much. It's really, really become one of my favorites over, I feel like, the last year and a half. It's very natural. It's hard to go overboard. It has a little bit of a sheen to it, but it's not glitter, so it just looks really, really natural, and it's not too orangey. So I'm a huge fan. I'm gonna apply that with my Japanese number 716 brush. And when I go in and apply my bronzer, I really kind of lift up the hairline so I can really, you know, get it back into the hairline so there's no line of like foundation. And I kind of make this weird face, pop my cheekbone, and kind of tap and brush at the same time. I'm not ripping at my face and really, you know, like going in and disturbing all the work I just did with my foundation. I'm just really, really lightly kind of, you know, applying where the sun would hit. Now, if you did like more of a warm tone bronzer, there's L'Oreal Bronze Please, and that is a much, much warmer kind of bronzer. It looks very, very similar to this. I think it came out with the Bronze Belle collection, so check that out if you didn't like, you know, more of a natural kind of bronzer. I actually have the Bronze Please bronzer, so this is the Bronze Please and this is the Bronze It. So see how the Bronze Please is super, super warm and the Bronze It is just a little more on the cool side. It's a little more on like the reddish side as well, as you can see on my face here, but wanted to show you guys the difference there. I feel like I'm recommending one product and then recommending another just in case. I know we're all different, right? We all have different preferences in our makeup style, in our skin undertones, and our skin type. So I just want to provide all the information I possibly can to you guys. So next step, I always take my sponge that I applied my bronzer with. I do this after bronzer, after blush, and after highlight, and I just hit right over the edges of the bronzer, blush, or highlight to make sure it looks like it's one with the skin. I think that's a huge tip that not too many people do on here because they're scared. They don't want to apply like a damp sponge over a powder, but as long as your sponge is really not too damp, which it shouldn't be when you're using these anyway, it's just gonna make everything look super, super seamless and one with the skin. Try it. I promise you will love this. So speaking of blush, we're gonna hit the cheeks with the Burt's Bees blush in Bare Peach. This blush is by far my favorite. I love it so much. It's so pigmented, it's so smooth, it's just gorgeous. I need to get some more colors. I really cannot recommend this enough. They have a pink one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's in my cart right now on Ulta. I need to make a purchase there anyway. So anyway, we're gonna hit the cheeks with this, with the Japanese number 722 brush. This is an angled brush. I love it so much. Go easy with this blush. I just dipped twice into it lightly, and I'm even gonna tap off the excess because like I said, she is very pigmented. And I just like to hit up here with my blush. I'm not somebody who wants to highlight these already chipmunk cheeks, so I place mine a little bit farther back. And again, I'm not like going like this or like this. I'm not like tearing at my skin. I'm just kind of stamping lightly and brushing back, and that's just gonna lift my face a little bit more, which is what I like with a blush. And then once most of it is off, I'll even kind of hit the back of my arm to make sure there's not a lot left. I'll kind of bring it in a little bit more so it's not just like boom color, you know what I mean? And then again, we're gonna hit it with the AOA Studio Paw Paw sponge to blend it in even more. Another blush I highly recommend from the drugstore is the Milani blushes. This is Tea Rose, which is one of my favorites. I don't like their baked blushes. Those are like too shimmery for me. I really, really prefer these ones. They have a little bit of a sheen to them, and again, they go on really, really smooth, but I do think I like the Burt's Bees a little bit more. So next up, highlight. This has quickly become my favorite go-to drugstore highlight. It's so good. It's the Revlon Skin Lights. This is in Prismatic Glow. No, Daybreak Glimmer. I always want to call this Prismatic Glow because it's the prismatic highlighter. I do that pretty much every single time, but this is so pretty. It is very, very, very pigmented, so be very, very careful when you apply this. Like just a little bit of that, knock off the excess, and you are gonna have a ton of highlight to work with. Watch, it is so pretty. So again, I'm just gonna kind of apply on the high points of my cheeks, and then I bring it right onto the brow bone. That's where I like to apply my highlight. See, when you go in easy, it looks very, very natural, but it's a very wet looking highlight, which is what I prefer. So just don't go in and really like, you know, dig your brush into the product and apply it. You can be very, very light-handed with this one and you will get maximum payoff. It is perfect. So once I finish the base, I go ahead and set everything, and then it'll take down any kind of powderish look, which we really don't have, but if you did, this is why I would go in at this step. I just prefer it because I don't want to like mess with the mascara or anything like that after, but you know, you do what works for you. You don't have to do the same steps I do. So this is the Wet n Wild Coconut Photo Focus 3-in-1 primer. I'm just gonna shake that up a little bit and give myself a couple of spritzes. This comes at you fast, so make sure to hold your hand back if you're using this. You really only need like 3 or 4 spritzes of that. You do not need to spray your face 1,800 times like people usually do on YouTube. Just get a little bit closer so you guys can see how beautiful this looks. I am obsessed with this. It is so pretty, looks so natural. I love it. You can really, really get a high-end look with drugstore products these days. It's truly amazing. But then again, the drugstore prices have gone up a lot in the last few years. So let's go in and do eyebrows. I'm gonna use my Milani Precision Brow in medium brown. I'm just gonna kind of brush everything up. I'm kind of growing out my brows a little bit, so I'm not gonna worry about any of the like overgrowth. I feel like I plucked a little bit too much on this side, so I just wanna kind of let them grow. So I'm just gonna go in and fill in a little bit with this guy. I'm not going in to do too much. I want everything, again, to look very natural. So I avoid this area right here, the like innermost part of my brow to the nose, I guess. I really don't wanna apply anything there until the end. So I'm just gonna go in and kind of add where there's a little bit of sparseness. So it really shouldn't take you too long if you're truly just going in. Now, obviously, I have some brow hairs to work with. If you didn't, you'd need to use different products than I was using. You might need to use like a dip brow gel or something and truly mimic a lot of brow hairs. But since I already have a good base, I really don't have to go in and fill in too much. And then when I'm done, I'll kind of go in towards the innermost part and add a couple of brush strokes or hair strokes, not brush strokes, right there. And I find that just kind of pulls everything together. See the difference? It's very, very natural, but just gives me a little extra oomph and structure to my brow. And then just to kind of set that in place and add a little more tint, I'm gonna go in with the e.l.f. Wow Brow in neutral brown. You guys know how much I love this stuff. It has little fibers in it. It keeps my brow hairs up. And notice, again, how I didn't go right in. There's a little fly. I don't know what the situation with like the gnats lately have been, but I feel like this year in Chicago, they're everywhere. But I digress. Anyway, I didn't go in and start right in this portion of the brow because I want the least color there. It just looks a little more natural that way. So I kind of start right here where I have more sparseness, work my way out while brushing them up. If you didn't like the more feathery look, you could brush them, you know, out, down, however you wanted to. And then once most of that product is off, I'll just lightly touch that inner part. Finished brow, awesome, love it. Brow that has nothing in it. See, I love a good feathery natural brow. So I'm gonna do this one off camera and I'll be right back here. Brows are done, so let's go in and do the eyes. I am going in with the Maybelline Color Tattoo in High Roller. Why am I showing you the cap? Do you care about the cap? No, you care about the product itself. Such a great cream eyeshadow from the drugstore. I really, really like these. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab a brush here. I recently talked about in my vlog style video how I got Botox last month, I think it's been about a month, and I went ham. It was totally my fault. I told the doctor to go ham basically because I hadn't had it for a while, and normally we're very cognizant and very reserved because of my hooded eyes, and I was just like, I don't even care. I just want my forehead wrinkles gone. So anyway, totally my fault, but now I have very, very little movement with my brows, and I really raise my brows in order to see my lid space, and I can't really do that right now. So I've been struggling with eye makeup until that wears off. I'm not gonna probably be applying all too much eye makeup, but cream shadows work perfectly for me for that. So if you have hooded eyes like I do and you struggle with regular shadow and, you know, finding your placement, grab one of these Maybelline cream shadows. They're awesome and they really do stay all day. So I'm gonna start with this Practic from Sigma small blend brush, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of that product on this. I also just dug 2 fingernails into that, so now it looks like I have dirt under my nails, which I don't, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply that. I'm just gonna kind of work out any of the creasing on my lid and pop it on. And then with a Wet n Wild brush, I'm just gonna kind of blend the edges. Just kind of going for a wash of color on the lid, nothing too crazy. Literally takes 2 seconds, it couldn't be easier. I'm also gonna take a Sigma Practic pencil brush and plop that right under the eye. So that is it for the eyeshadow. Super simple. This really kind of reminds me of like an off-duty model look where you're like not trying too hard, but you look put together. I think I might actually title this video something along those lines, like drugstore off-duty model makeup type of situation. We'll see. But let's go in and finish the eyes. To the lower waterline, I'm gonna add the Essence Silky Nude Waterproof Liner. And then to the upper waterline, I'm gonna add the e.l.f. No Budge Retractable Liner in Coffee. It's a deep brown color. It's just a little bit softer than a black, but if you wanted to go in with a black, there's that pesky fly again, you could go in and do that. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of my Maybelline Snapscara in Blackest Black, and then we'll throw on a lip and finish up this look. A lot of you ask me what liners I recommend that won't transfer, and in all honesty, pretty much all of my liners transfer, whether it's, you know, a black or a brown on the upper waterline to the lower line at some point. I've heard really good things about the Marc Jacobs liners. I haven't tried them, but I've heard great things about those. So maybe something you might want to look into, but mine always transfers. It's really hard to do this on camera since my mirror is kind of far away, but I'm gonna lightly, I'm not pulling on my eye too much, and it's okay to do this every so often. You don't wanna do this all the time, but every so often it's okay. I'm just gonna pull slightly. I'm not putting a lot of pressure, and I'm gonna kind of try to work this between the lashes and kind of like the fold where your lash line is to give myself a little more definition. And then I'm just gonna take my Sigma Winged Liner E06 and just kind of smudge that liner before it completely sets down. Perfect. So now I'm just gonna add a little bit of my Maybelline Snapscara and give these lashes a quick curl. I've been watching a lot of The Hills lately. I restarted The Hills, and Lauren loved to give herself like a black winged liner. So I don't know if that's where this little bit of like darkness, I'm not going black, obviously I'm going with brown, but around the eyes is coming from, but I'm liking it. Finished up the mascara, so all we have left are lips, and I'm gonna be going in with, you guessed it, my Revlon Super Lustrous lipsticks. I love these so much, they're so pretty. They're very, very similar. I don't have it, but from the looks of it to the Fenty like shiny lipsticks, the ones they just came out with, but these are a lot more affordable. I love these. I want every single color. They smell so good. But since we did do something with the eyes today, I'm gonna keep it a little bit more neutral, and I think I'm gonna go in with Nude Illuminator. You can apply a liner if you wanted to. I'm really not in the mood for it. In all honesty, I'm usually not in the mood for liner, so I'm not gonna do that, but I do love all of the LA Girl Perfect Precision lip liners if you were a lip liner girl or boy. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take Nude Illuminator and pop that on. And like I said, these are just super, super glowy. They're super comfortable. You can reapply throughout the day and you don't have any issues, and I just love them. How pretty is that? It's so freaking pretty. I'm gonna just add a little bit of my Essence Shine 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 lip gloss to up that gloss a little bit. And that is all she wrote, folks. How beautiful is this? Completely from the drugstore, super comfortable. I could wear this all day long without any problems whatsoever, and I think this looks just as good as any high-end makeup. So I hope you found this video somewhat fun or interesting or educational, any or all of the above. If you guys have any questions, as always, let me know down below. I try to read and respond to each and every one of you. Otherwise, if you're interested in seeing any more videos from me, please subscribe. It means the absolute world to me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.